All right, so let's talk about health insurance and let's focus on the aspect where you have bought a health insurance policy, you are paying a very high premium, it's a cashless health insurance policy, and when you actually really need the money for the claim, it gets rejected. Now, what are the scenarios and what are the reasons, and in what cases can a health insurance or a cashless health insurance gets rejected? Let's focus on this and let's dive deep into this. I have with me Deepak Yohannan, CEO, MIC Insurance Web Aggregator. Deepak, thank you so much for joining in today and welcome on the Money Show. So, although not a lot of cases, of cashless health insurance rejected are being there out open or we come across, but still, when it comes to having the right kind of awareness or the kind of literacy that is needed in buying the right kind of health insurance and filling the right kind of details and having the disclosures, it's very important for us to educate our viewers and help them understand the scenarios where, their health insurance cashless claim can be rejected. So, I want to understand from you, forget about cashless, but what are the general reasons why a claim could be rejected?
So rejection is one, and of course there are a lot of disputes also which arise in the sense you thought you will get something, but this is not what I was expecting. So I'll just delve upon the major points which are usually the points of conflicts. Is one is there are room rent cappings, especially on the lower sum assured plans. So things like plans which have a 4-5 lakh cover, they will usually have a room rent capping. Now, what happens is, suppose your eligibility is for a 3,000 or a 5,000 rupee room, but if you go and take a room which is of, let's say, 5, 6, or 7,000 rupees, because you thought it is being covered by the plan, and even if it is, I have to pay just 1-2,000 rupees extra above. So you go in for a room which is more expensive than what is categorized in your plan. But as a result, what happens is all the other expenses also proportionally get reduced. So if you've taken 5,000 rupee room instead of a 3,000 rupee room, so that is a percentage extra from what you're eligible with. As a result, all other medical expenses which are now being charged to you will not be covered completely by the plan, and the same proportional reduction will happen. Now, that comes as a major surprise to the policy holder because they were not aware of this. They thought that they will have to pay only 2,000 rupees extra for the room rent, but all the other expenses come. That becomes a bit of a surprise and leads to disputes with the insurance company. So that's one major thing: lack of awareness and not really understanding the policy. And very frankly, it is not very well explained also at the time of purchase.
I was just coming on that. Exactly. I was just, exactly, you're right. I was just coming on that only because people are not aware of it. And also, if we include this in policy documents, not everyone lands up reading it really well, okay? So when you are referring to a condition which involves having your room rent capping, where exactly in the policy documents, in the kind of wordings, can you understand that? Because I know it's like a very basic question, but then the problem is it's very jargonized, the language that we're talking about, life and health both, in fact, which is where people actually fail understanding the right concepts which is there in the document. So how can we help them out there, Deepak?
So the room rent capping is very well publicized, and it is written very clearly. The proportional reduction is what is a hidden piece, and very frankly, it is as a result of hospitals actually, having different charges for different rooms for the same treatment. So you if you're taking a lower charged room, you will be charged lower for the same treatment within the same hospital. So it's as a result of that. But having said that, I would not, as we speak, I do not recollect the clause under which the proportional charging is being happening. So maybe I can get back to you on that, please.
Sure. So let's move on, Deepak. The next criteria or the reason for a dispute could be waiting period for specific illnesses. People are not aware of it, and also, change in policy benefits which people kind of fail to, have a track of when they are renewing their policies also.
So exactly what people are usually aware of the fact that if you have a pre-existing condition, there is a waiting period. So they assume that they've been continuing for 2 years. So now all illnesses are covered. But the policy might have a criteria which says, let's say, slip disc is not covered for 4 years. So whether the pre-existing might actually get covered after 2 years, but a slip disc as a condition will not get covered for 4 years. So that again comes as a very big surprise because it was not a condition they had when they purchased the plan, and all of a sudden they've been, they have to be treated for that condition, and then this condition comes that you cannot be covered because there is a 4-year waiting period for specific illness. So this again is fairly well mentioned. So linking back to your last question, I think the document which really needs to be read is something called as the policy wording. Brochure is the summary of the policy wording, but policy wording is actually where the devil lies, where the details are very clearly mentioned. It is often a 15 to 16, 20 page document. Can be a bit difficult for a normal person to go through, but I would strongly recommend that you spend some time in understanding the policy wordings. Things are very, very clearly mentioned there.
Sure. Let's move on to our other reason that you have also highlighted clearly, that is overcharging by hospital, Deepak. What do you actually mean by that?
So this is purely, nothing that the consumer can actually do. They've gone for treatment, and the hospital is actually, because today the treatment costs are not really monitored or governed or regulated in hospitals. They can charge literally whatever they want. So it becomes very difficult for a consumer to do anything about it. I mean, the hospital might randomly put, let's say, treatment of thyroid, or let's say a particular surgery which was conducted. They can charge anything for it. But the insurance company will go by a reasonable expense for that category of hospitals. So that could come as a bit of a surprise because the customer has actually not done anything about it. The way to handle it is you should, if you can, go to a network hospital of the insurance company. In case you have gone to a network hospital, the rates are pretty much decided between the insurance company or the TPA and the hospital, and the same rates are charged, which are pretty much pre-approved by the insurance company. So that would be one way to actually get over this problem. But the insurance companies do not control the pricing, and unfortunately, the pricing which is being charged by the hospitals are not regulated. So that's where the customers get stuck.
So Deepak, there is no one common way of handling these disputes, or there are different steps depending on the kind of dispute or the rejection that we are talking about?
No standard approach, of course. If you've just gone through the recent changes which have happened, there is a portal called as Bhima Bharosa, which the regulator has put forward. It's a digital platform. Earlier it was IGMS, but now it is Bhima Bharosa, where again there is supposed to be a time-bound redressal. Very early days, but hopefully it should sort of pick up and make things much easier for the consumer.
All right. So, a lot of time what happens is people also miss out on minute details, as we've already discussed a lot of them, but they do not disclose their pre-existing diseases also, and a lot of time when this condition is missed out, the claim completely gets rejected. You've explained briefly about this, but then let's just talk more on this, because what happens is let's assume you did not have an illness while you were buying a health insurance policy, but then you've developed something when you were covered under it. How important it is for you to disclose it, and later on, how can you also go about with your premium or talk to the insurance policy? With what kind of conditions do you think that will be covered? Is there anything around it that a policy holder needs to be aware of?
So two things. One is when you're purchasing the policy, ensure, a lot of people trying to get a lower premium or somehow just to get a policy, they think it is a minor thing, let me not mention it, or it's in a very early stage, let me not mention it. And then they purchase the policy. But at a later point of time, when they're actually making a claim and the insurance company then discovers that you had this, yes, it was an early stage, but then the the claim gets rejected, saying, it may be unrelated, but you did not declare all the facts for us to be making a very intelligent underwriting decision on your case. So, I mean, it might be a completely unrelated treatment which you're having right now, but because you did not disclose certain facts, the insurance company can reject the claim. And second is, suppose at the time of making the purchase, you did not have this illness, and later on you actually later on you've been diagnosed with certain conditions. It is then also better to actually declare it at the time of renewal that I have been treated for this particular condition, and you put it on record. That is the safest way to do it, because no insurance company can refuse to renew you because you've been diagnosed with something after you make the purchase of the policy. All health insurance policy have lifelong renewal clause, which the regulator has mandated. They cannot be rejected, and your pricing cannot go up purely because you have a condition right now. So though there are certain benefits which are inbuilt, and benefits which the customer can actually take.
Sure. I think that's all for today, Deepak. My time is up, but thank you so much for being on the show and helping our viewers with all the nitty-gritties revolved around having a health insurance dispute. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.